Mr. Knowles.
Hello.
Oh, shoot. I can't make you co-host. Wait, no, I'm going to take that back.
I don't feel trusted now.
Taking it back. Sorry.
That's right. Did we decide about Monday, Tuesday next week?
I guess we'll just leave it the way it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all right.
Brad,
Jim, you taking part, Jim, in Spring Masterminds?
I am.
Yep.
Is that next week?
Yeah,
Yes.
Jesus.
Brad, could you make Briana co-host? If you just go to her name and on the right-hand side, it clicks down and it should say co-host. Make co-host.
Yes.
Okay, make her. So she's going to man the volume, the mutes. I'm going to jump off.
Great.
Have fun, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jen.
Great
Good
weekend.
weekend.
You too.
You all Monday.
You bet.
Yeah, that snuck up on me, Brad. It's on my calendar. I signed up for it, but wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I didn't even sign up until this week, and I was like, "Oh shoot!" Yeah. So it'd be interesting to see because you're a big fan of going to Spring Masterminds, right?
Spring Masterminds is actually one I have not gone to.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I've been, coaching lacrosse, and it's just it's hard to break away, and there's a lot of tournaments during that time.
Yep. It's always been one of my favorites because it's similar to Family Reunion or Mega Camp, but it's like 25% of the people.
Yeah, and that's what I had heard. I was actually gonna go this year. But I'll still be there.
Nice. Yeah, it was gonna be interesting to see how that works on the format.
So shame on me. I opened up the book for the first time yesterday when you were in the class, and it's autographed. I didn't even know.
I know. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Let's not give that away to the neighbor.
Right. We'll hold that one a little closer.
That's right. Well, cool. Here's a little lesson on presenting if anybody wants it. The nicer it gets in New England on Fridays, the less people will show up for a class.
Yes.
So,
for the record, I am going to say that we have a leadership with David and the other TLs at 1:30. So I will be disappearing at 1:30.
well, and we're only doing one section today, so we may actually be done by then. So
Cool.
Thank you guys for being here, and we'll dive into what John talks about in the 5th section of this book, which is the quickest way to gain leadership is problem solving. The quickest way to gain leadership is problem solving. And this really breaks down into 3 main areas, okay? And area number 1 is problems introduce us to ourselves. Problems introduce us to ourselves. And I think there's a lot of people who have experienced that in the last 2 months, right? And if you haven't experienced it, I challenge you to think about how you've seen other people show up in the last 2 months, right? I think there's probably people in your life you didn't realize that were going to show up in a leadership capacity until stuff started going sideways, right? I think we've had some people who oftentimes show up in kind of a leadership way or a kind of a kind of center of the group way who really retracted, pulled back with everything going on. No judgment attached to any of them. What John's saying is problems introduce us to ourselves. We find our deeper underlying foundational when problems show up. So he's got 5 different things to talk about on that front, and I actually think that's a lie. I think it's 6. It's 6 different keys, I would call them. Number 1, our decisions are often impacted by our proximity to the problem. Our proximity to the problem, right? As a leader, the more disconnected you are from your people, the more disconnected you may become from the problem. And and Jim, when I think about this in terms of a real estate agent, one of the things that stands out to me is there's been times where I've wanted states to demand that if you have a real estate license, you must have bought and sold real estate.
Yeah.
Right? Because you do not understand what a seller's going through or a buyer's going through until you've lived it. It's very challenging to relate emotionally with that experience if you haven't actually been through it yourself. And what John's saying here is our decisions are often impacted by our proximity to the problem. If we've not experienced that issue ourselves, or if we're becoming more and more disconnected to the people we work with, the people we lead, or the clients we serve, that it's going to hamper our ability to solve problems. So keep that piece in mind as we talk about this. Number two, our plates as leaders are always filled with problems, right? And that's why I love real estate as a leadership petri dish. When are you done? Right?
Yeah.
Right? Jim, when are your agents done?
They're not.
Yeah, no, there's no done. Lori Joe here, right? Like, wait, when's the checklist finished? It never happens. Never happens. Your plate's always going to be full in any kind of leadership role, or as a small business owner, right? You will never be completely done, right? The hardest thing about milking cows is they never stay milked, right? That's leadership. That's real estate, right? That's it right there in a nutshell. Key number three on this: pragmatism serves us well as leaders. Being pragmatic is something that's going to serve you well as a leader. Being able to relate to people, keeping things simple, right? Those are gifts that are going to help us specifically in this area that John's talking about here, which is problem solving. Key number four, believe there is always an answer. Believing there is always an answer is an asset, right? Have you met people in your life where every problem to them is, that's insolvable. There's no way out of this puzzle, right? I think specifically in a real estate business, our clients turn to us to solve problems. And we need to come at that as hey, yeah, you know what? Furnace is shot. You didn't know it, I didn't know it, and building inspection says furnace shot. How do we solve that problem now, right? Who's going to fix it? Who's going to pay for it? By when? When's it going to get done, right?
Brad, I don't believe real estate agents put this in their value proposition enough, because there are agents that could have the same deal and it will die here.
Yes.
And it'll be so successful here.
Yes. I completely agree. Right? The less time you are in real estate, the more likely it is you have transactions fall apart. And some of that, Jim, I see if you agree with this, some of that is because the experienced agent is never going to put that deal together, right? They're not going to take that listing that's ridden, with issues and nightmares without fixing them prior to putting them on the market, doing a pre-inspection, pre-listing inspection kind of a thing, or so we've learned those lessons over time from being in the business. We're not interested in getting that same headache, right? I've already got the scars from that lesson. I don't need them again, right? Right. Number 5 on this one is our actions can make our problems increase in number and size. Our actions can make our problems increase in number and size. Now, this to me reminds me of kind of a metaphor. Each of you is a firefighter. You're each a firefighter in your business. You each carry a bucket. And when you come across a fire, you grab your bucket and you throw it. The challenge is some of us are carrying water and some of us are carrying gasoline. You know the people who, when they enter a problem situation, they actively make it worse, right? And as leaders, we need to be aware of that. We need to be guarded for that. We need to make sure that the clients we're getting in business with are people that we're going to be able to work through problems with, and they're not always going to be magnifying those problems. I just had one of our agents up here in Maine conversation today. closed a deal. He put the thing under contract 4 times to close it once, right? One of his listings, right? And it was a huge relief to get it closed. And I get it. I understand it. And one of the things that he said was, well, I asked him this. I said, when did you know? When did you know that listing and those clients were going to be that issue? When did you know it? And guess when he said?
Right away.
At the listing table. He knew it before they even signed. And I said, okay, in retrospect, if you had to do it all over again, would you list it again? Put it under contract 4 times and sell it once? Nope. Would the lost lead gen time because of the distraction of this deal have more than made up for the commission you would have made? Yup. Great. So when you get that inkling at the table the next time, are you going to walk away? Yup. That's the kind of thing John's talking about here. Last key on this section, problems handled well often make us better. Problems handled well often make us better, right? We will become better people, better leaders when we embrace and handle problems well. In other words, don't run away from them. Use these tools to become a better problem solver, and you will grow and develop from it. Big section in this on problem solving John talks about is problems introduce us to others. And we'll fly through this one here a little bit, but there's 4 key areas in this. Problems introduce us to others. Area number 1, it's going to introduce us to people who make problems worse. Right? And we've talked about that. Those are our people who love to throw their bucket of gasoline, right? People who make our problems worse. Number 2, it's going to introduce us to people who become problem magnets, right? Oh, why man, I didn't think of this before. I lived in Pasadena, California for a while, and our apartment was on stilts. All the parking was underneath, and then the apartments were above, right? And there was an automatic gate. So you pulled up to the gate would open, you'd pull in, and then the gate would close. And that's how the parking worked, right? And one time there was a commotion outside, and I stepped onto my little balcony and I looked down, and this lady's car had gotten jammed in with the gate. And, she's sitting there kicking the gate, kicking the car, this, that, and the other thing. And finally she says, why do things like this always happen to me? There are people out there that just draw problems to them. Draw them to them. And many times I would bet, and I think, of course there's some people out there who just have bad luck, but I think more often than not, there's things they're doing to draw it to them. I'd be willing to bet she was trying to rush out before, right behind somebody else without waiting the gate to close or this, that, and the other. You know what I mean? It's how many times have we seen somebody, cut out behind you and punch it, to get ahead of you, and they're impatient, and then 2 minutes later down the road, you see that they've spun off, or, had a minor fender bender or something like that. It's, people are going to reveal themselves when we get into the problem solving business. And some people are going to be people who become problem magnets. I would just challenge you to look in the mirror and go, is that me? Am I one of those people? And if I am, what are the choices that I'm making to make it happen? Right? Do I recognize when I'm in a hole? And do I have the awareness to stop digging? Right? Key number 3 on this, people who give up in the face of problems. There are people who are just going to go, no, not going to do it. Not going to do it. I think we may have, depending on the economic challenge that we face in this, Jim, I think we may have a group of agents who have weathered downturns in the real estate market before. Maybe they've weathered multiple, and because they know what it's going to take to get through this and really thrive, may go, no, I'm not doing it again.
Yep.
right? I've already done this 3 or 4 times. I'm not doing this again, right? You know, I know I'm like that as a father. Like, God bless any of you that have young kids or young grandkids. I am not having another kid, right? Been there, done that. I can't do it. I've done it 3 times. I cannot do it one more time. Not one more time. Lastly, John says in this is, problems are going to introduce us to people who use problems as stepping stones for success. Their ability to solve problems, right, becomes stepping stones to success. As a leader, right, you need to pay attention to how your people respond to problems, and you need to help them respond correctly. I think this is very interesting when it comes to the vendors that you work with, right? How does your lender show up as a problem solver? Are they as the sky's always fallen? Are they an Eeyore? Or are they a great partner who's there to really work through the issue, right? Our last section here that John talks about in problem solving is problems introduce opportunity. Problems introduce opportunity. And what that reminded me of was, there's a guy that I actually go to church with, and he was our youth pastor for a while. And he knew that as his family grew that he needed to make some adjustments. And so he started looking for different lines of work. And Jim, one of the smartest things he did is he went to other people in the church and said, just, hey, what do you see as a need out there? Right? Hear that a different way. What do you see as a problem out there that I can solve? Right? And, you know, he heard from multiple people that, you know what, actually, there aren't enough people that do stump grinding, right? Maine's the pine tree state. Well, guess what? That means we got a lot of pine tree stumps. That man in 2 years has gone from owning 0 equipment, and his first stump grinding job, he rented the pickup truck, he rented the trailer, and the stump grinder. He rented all of it to go do the job, and saved his money and saved his money. And a couple of months later, guess what? Bought his pickup truck. A couple of months later, bought the trailer. Before you know it, bought the grinder. Now he's not renting anything. He now has 3 crews in 2 years, stump grinding all over Southern Maine. Opportunity is introduced to us through problems, right? In the middle of difficulty lies opportunity. 8 key notes I want you to take on this, okay? 8. Recognize a potential problem before it becomes a real problem. Said another way, listen to the whispers and you'll never hear the screams, right? Catch it early. Have an awareness, have a radar up for discontentment or issues or bottlenecks. Number 2, get a clear picture of the problem. Said another way, the problem named is the problem solved. If you can define the problem, you are well on your way to solving it. Many people don't slow down long enough to actually define what the problem is, okay? So again, number 1, recognize the potential problem before it becomes real. And then number 2, get a clear picture of the problem, right? Number 3, ask questions to help you solve the problem. Ask some questions to help you solve the problem. I'm going to go through these quick, but I'd love to have you hear, which of these kind of resonates with you. Who knows the most about this problem? What a great question to ask. Who knows what I need to know? Who knows what I need to know? Who wants to tackle this problem, right? How can I partner with somebody who really wants to tackle this, right? I don't want to be the stump grinder. I got to find the guy who wants to be the stump grinder. Who needs to buy in, and how long will it take? Have we earned enough trust to make needed changes? What a great question to measure where our relationship is with somebody, right? And then I love this as a reflective one. What questions do I need to ask myself? I know I fail to slow down and ask that kind of question too often, right? Instead, I might move on to other questions quicker, or I might already be in solution mode without slowing down long enough to go, wait. Have I even asked all the questions I need to ask? Am I even asking the right questions in this? Number 4, create a framework to examine problems and solutions, right? What's the framework that you're going to follow? And John on page 110 gives us a few different examples of questions that he uses, right? He uses 6 critical areas. In leadership, how does the problem affect our people? In personnel, do we have the right people to help us with these problems? In timing, is this the right time for a solution? Vision, how does this problem affect what we're trying to get done? Priority, are my problems taking me or the team away from our priority? Some problems are problems we're not meant to solve. Like, yep, that's a problem over there, but you know what? That doesn't matter because I'm heading in this direction. That thing are going to have to take care of itself because this is the direction I'm going in. And values, are my values or my teams being compromised by this problem? And can't that have a compounding effect, right? Last 3 or 4 here. Number 5, value shared problem solving, right? The best problem solvers don't work alone. Again, so many of you are so talented that, you know, it's often an approach of put it on my back, I got it, right? Jim, if you look back to your kind of earlier TL years versus where you are today, can you see a progression of going from carrying it all to how do I work with my people?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think I think every TL I've ever met, that takes time, right? Because if you're well wired for the role, you're kind of I want to hop in and fix kind of person. And as the offices grow bigger, as the business becomes more robust, you can't do it all. You must work with others. Number 6, always come up with more than one solution. Always come up with more than one solution. You know, to me, another way to think of this, the thinking that got you into this problem is not the thinking that's going to get you out of this problem. So whatever your first solution is, if you were involved in the problem making itself, very likely is just the beginning, right? We need to think about it more. We need to think about it a little bit deeper. Number 7, last 2, cultivate a bias for action, right? Develop a bias for action. Don't think, can I? Instead, think, how can I? Simple little change, simple little nuance. How can we, right? If we could find a solution for this, what would it be? If we could partner with somebody on this to fix it, who would it be? If I had somebody that was a resource with this issue, who would that be? What was 6? Hold on one second. Always come up with more than one solution. Hope that helps, Karen. Always come up with more than one solution. Number 7 was cultivate a bias for action. Cultivate a bias for action. How can I versus can I? And lastly, actively look for opportunity and lessons in every problem. Or said another way, feedback is the breakfast of champions, right? Two boxers exit the ring. One who won and the one who learned something, right? Are you examining every time you don't get the listing? Are you examining every time somebody that you go to hire says thank you but no thank you? Are you taking time to examine lost opportunities when a buyer, after you've met with them a few times, says, hey, you know what, we've decided to work with somebody else? Those were opportunities that were within our grasp, and somehow we didn't get them. What happened? How did it go wrong? Are we learning the lessons from those moments? I'd love to hear one or two thoughts from what we've covered. It's kind of a shorter section. It's a Friday. It's beautiful in New England. So I'm gonna give you back a few minutes of your time. What did you hear?
I like the way he describes the way problems introduce us to others. I mean, those people are all around us, and the quicker we find out who's in what box, better we can navigate through things or choose who we want in our surroundings.
Yeah. I've definitely got people around me who are good at sniffing out problems, right? They always are kind of, hey, you might have an issue over here, right? They might not be my best problem solver, but they're a good canary in the mine, right? And then you've got some other people in your organization or that you work with, your affiliates, that might be your better problem solvers. Man, you love pulling them in going, how are we going to solve this, right? There's this issue. I need help. I need input, who can I pull together, right? That who question, right? Instead of what or how, I want to challenge you. I think one of the things that John really stresses here, but maybe doesn't spend quite enough time making it clear here is, I hope your problem solving begins with who, right? Because if we start with the what and the where and the how, we might end up carrying it on our back. Any other thoughts or questions before we let you go? Next week, we're going to do the same schedule, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 1 to 2 o'clock. And Monday and Tuesday is also the same time of Spring Masterminds. If you're involved in that, those two will also be shorter sessions. So come right at 1 o'clock. Feel free to bring your lunch with you, obviously, and know that you'll probably get, 20 to 30 minutes of your time back. If you've blocked out the whole hour, we'll probably be able to let you go. Thursday, Friday will probably run a little bit longer as we wrap up the series. Briana, what did we miss? You've been a great co-host.
Thanks, Brad. That was awesome, as always. I couldn't scribble notes fast enough. I've got pages and pages. And I think my biggest aha was kind of the same thing, that the best problem solvers don't work alone, because I find it so easy to think that we can carry everything on our backs and we don't lean on the people around us. So that was huge.
Right. David, sir, how are you?
I'm doing well, Brad. Thanks for your time and your insights. I love your expressions too.
Well, you know what? If they resonate with me, I hope that they resonate with some of you. So, and John and Maxwell's so good at those too. So good. He's such a library of them. So, really appreciate it. Thank you all. Get out there. I hope you take at least 10, 15 minutes. Go out and enjoy some of this sunshine. We'll see you on Monday.
See you in Spring Masterminds.
Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Jim. You bet. Thanks, David. Thanks, Briana. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.